Hi, nice to meet you.
The San Antonio Spurs select Tony Parker.
When you tell people your dream of making it to the NBA, they call you too frail, too weak, too little.
Tony Parker drains it, and the Spurs lead by 2.
They thought that basically we stink, and we don't take showers.
Il nous agresse, on peut même pas mettre la balle en jeu. Faut qu'on joue plus physique que ça.
I'm going to shit on him and be hard because he's going to show that he's going to play better like this, then do that,
He's responsible for me not winning more championships.
My career was even better than my dream. First time in the academy?
First time in the academy, it's beautiful. I got to see you around. It's wonderful what you've been doing here. So we're gonna start at the beginning. You have always been around basketball. Basketball's been your life early on. I found this photo recently that I thought is adorable. I believe your mom took that. Could you tell us a little more about it?
That was my favorite picture. It's my favorite picture as a kid because at the beginning, and I love the way my mom captured, me playing with the basketball. And so when I was a kid, I would always follow my dad, and he was a basketball player, and I would try to do everything he did, try to imitate him. And if he was shooting, I was shooting. If he was stretching, I was stretching. And he was like my hero basically. And my mom, she was very supportive of him. And so we went to all the games.
Sounds like your dad definitely left his imprint on your love for basketball.
No, definitely. It started with him, that's for sure. I think it helps, when you have it at home. Even if he never pressure us to play basketball. He always say you can do whatever you want. Because on that picture, you see me play basketball. I was maybe 2 or 3, I think, on that picture. But at 6 years old, I started to play soccer. And I played soccer for 3 years. And then I went back to basketball when I was 9 years old, and when I signed my first license when I started in Normandy in Fécamp.
Do you have any moments or any other people, idols, that push you towards basketball and maybe ingrained your love for the sport?
Oh, for sure. Michael Jordan, he was definitely my idol. My dad is from Chicago, born and raised. My whole family's from Chicago. So they were huge Bulls fans. So growing up, I would always wake up at 3 in the morning, watch all the games, because at that time it was not we didn't have social media, we didn't have all of that, so you had to wake up at 3 in the morning to watch some highlights. And it was not a lot of NBA stuff in France, no NBA gears, so my grandparents will always send us Bulls stuff, for Christmas, and so we'll be looking good at school, with all the Bulls gear. And no, it was nice. It was a nice period for me of dreaming. At that time you dream about doing big stuff, and that was my first time that I was okay, I want to play basketball for sure. My dad played basketball. He can help me for the mental side, and watching Michael play definitely wanted me to play basketball. And I had big dreams, of trying to become the first European point guard to make it in the NBA.
You talk about dreaming and that you wanted to make it big very early on, and you said, so you started with soccer because that's the national sport in France more than anything else, and you slowly transitioned towards basketball, and then you joined INSEP at 14, and even still then you get a lot of criticism. When you tell people your dream of making it to the NBA, they call you too frail, too weak, too little. At such a young age, receiving that sort of criticism can either break you or make you.
Exactly, but you have two choices. Either you let it break you, like you just said, or you use it as motivation, you use it as fuel to use that as positive energy and positive motivation, to make it. In France, they have that mentality, where sometimes, they're always negative, and they always want to criticize. And so to me, it was more okay, I'm going to use it as a part of energy. And the mental side of the game was for me the most important. Like you said, people always say I was too small, too skinny, I will never make it. For me, the difference, it was okay, between the great players and the good players, is the mental side is the biggest difference that I saw, when I was watching growing up, and you see Michael Jordan, and even Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, all those are the greats. The mental side of the game, that's where they at their best, and that's why they make the difference between and separate themselves with the other players. And so that's what I focus on. When I was 9 years old, it was a dream, going into the NBA. But when I was 14 and I entered INSEP, then it became a goal. And I was okay, maybe you have some players that'll be faster than me, maybe players are taller than me or stronger than me, but something they were not going to be me is the mental side. And when you go to a game and you see the crowd and everything goes crazy, and you play good at that moment, and make the right play at the right moment. So a lot of guys, they're the kings of practice, but then when the game comes, it's they just fall, and so Me, the more pressure it was, the better I thought I was playing. You know, I just loved the pressure. I always welcomed it. And since I was 14, it became a real focus to try to become the first European point guard to make it in the NBA.
It had never been done before.
Yeah, because at the time, people thought I was crazy. It was not a lot of Europeans in the NBA. It was no European point guards. And Americans, you know, they're very proud about basketball, very cocky. They think they're the best, and they are the best. But they had no respect for European basketball back then. You know, they thought basically we stink, you know, and we don't take showers, and and we're not really good at basketball. So you had to change, you know, that perception. You know, you had to change the way they saw you. You know, for me, like I said, I always tell everybody, the kids in my academy, I always say dream big. And if you say your dream to somebody and he doesn't laugh at you, you don't dream big enough. That's like kind of my phrase. And when I say my dream, people were laughing at me. Now I'm the one who's laughing, you know, because I made it.
Exactly.
But that was my mentality, you know. I was like, I'm going to dream big, and I don't care if people think I'm crazy. And as though you always had that phrase in France that I'm not a big fan of it, you know. It's like, oh, the most important is to participate, you know. I hated that phrase when I was a kid, because me, the most important is to win. And it changed, you know, with time, you know. In 1998, when the soccer team won the World Cup, France was like, you know, happy, and it was my first time seeing the whole country. It didn't matter if you were white or black, everybody was like together and celebrating our country. It had an impact, you know, on kids like me or Teddy Riner. You know, we are products of 1998, and that's what I wanted to do with basketball. I wanted to bring basketball to the top. You know, France, when I first started with the national team, never won a competition, never won a gold medal in anything. And that was my motivation, to bring my country to the top and make France proud of me. You know, when I first got drafted, you know, when I was 19, I was like, you know, I want to try to make it. I want to earn the respect, you know, from the Americans. And if we win something, I will show the French flag.
During that draft, did the fact that you had that country behind you, continent behind you, then entering the NBA, which is let alone an incredible pressure cooker, but you add to that the fact of your own personal goals, dreams, ambitions, did that serve as motivation or maybe added pressure?
No, at the draft, I was just happy. At the draft, I was like, man, I went back to the kid that I was, dreaming about the NBA. I was just happy. I couldn't believe it. You know, I was like, wow, I'm drafted. I'm going to the NBA. That's pretty cool. Then reality kicks in. You know, you arrive to summer camp, and then you really have to show that you can play, you know, because then I go back to, okay, the Americans, you only have one chance, you know, to show what you can do.
One shot at first impression.
Yeah, one time.
So you get to the NBA, you get drafted by the Spurs after a little tumultuous drafting moment, and you meet someone that's going to be pivotal in your life, professional, but also at home, Coach Gregory Popovich, or known as Coach Pop. Can you tell us about maybe the first interactions with him and then kind of your relationship with him, how it evolved?
But my first interaction with him was before the draft. You know, I did a workout in Chicago. I just flew 15 hours, landed, went straight to practice, and that was the first time I saw him, first time they see me. And I sucked at that workout. You know, I was not that good. I was still jet lagged. And Pop basically was like, he's never going to play in the NBA. And so it was a tough first interaction. But then I did to my other workouts. I went to my other workouts and I did very well. And we arrived at the draft. And people was like, okay, are we talking about the same Tony Parker? Like the Spurs, it was like, we saw him. He was like, so they asked for another workout 2 days like before the draft in San Antonio. And this one I did really, really well. And then Pop was like, there's no way he's going to drop all the way to the end of the first round. You know, he's going to be drafted higher, you know. But at the time, you know, NBA teams didn't have a lot of respect, you know, for European guards. So I dropped all the way to the end of the first round. So when I talked to Pop, when I got drafted, Pop called me in New York, and I was like, Pop, thanks for believing in me. And I'm going to show all the other teams that they made a big mistake not drafting me. That's what I told him.
Oh, and that's what happened. You often call him maybe a secondary father or someone that's been very important in your life. And I find it fascinating to see what happens in the brain when you associate someone with such a high position, high role. And oftentimes when someone takes up a father figure, it definitely releases dopamine and links neural pathways such as learning, trust, also reward. And so I'm going to put it crudely, but you're able to take more shit because in the end you have that reward. And in this case, the reward would be the betterment of yourself. Did you feel that way with Pop, where even though he put you through a lot of hard times, at the end it was tough love and that he was doing it for you to become better?
Exactly, you said everything. It's exactly the way I saw it. That tough love and the way he went hard on me because he didn't want to waste any time. He was like, I'm going to throw him in the fire and we'll know right away if we have something on that, if we have a play on that.
After 5 games, right?
Yeah, after 5 games. And I think he just saw something in me because I was like, I'm not going to let it go, like I want to make it. So I don't care what he's going to do. I'm going to come back the next day and show that he's wrong, and so that was my mentality. Not everybody's built like that, because of course he's going to have a lot of up and downs. In my first 3-4 years, it was a lot of up and downs because me and him, we were like this, and he was like really tough. But I think if you look at it now and with perspective, I'm happy that he did that with me, made me stronger mentally. And the relationship that we have right now is very special.
It worked out for the best. I'm sure there were some nights where you went home, you were in San Antonio, you were alone, you had a very hard day, yet you found something inside you that made you come back day in, day out, day in, day out.
Yeah, for sure. No, it was very tough. Some days I had tears. I was like, I didn't know if I was going to make it. That's normal. Everybody go through those doubts, and stuff
Sure.
like that. That's human, being a human being. But then you have two choices. Either you fold or either you come back even stronger the next day. And I made the decision that I won't come back strong every day. And there's no way that guy was going to make me fold.
And he has softened up with time, maybe mellowed with age.
He's too nice right now. He's too nice.
He said recently.
He changed a lot.
Oh, a lot. He said in an interview that if he did 10% to players today what he did to you, he'd probably be in handcuffs or in jail.
He'd be out of the NBA now, yeah, for sure.
I mean,
but back then it was different, though. It was
Yeah.
different. Now the players, they're a little bit different. The way it works, it's hard to compare generations and eras and stuff like that. So it is what it is, and that's what it was like when I was playing. It was like that with him. I will not change anything, because back then, it was all about being tough and physical
Absolutely.
and all that kind of stuff. And I'm happy that I made it through that era.
Yeah. Well, there's been a big change in mental health awareness. Now, most players, most teams have mental coaches, psychiatrists, and there's now 2 schools of thought. School A, players are too soft, players are too weak, they're coddled, they're not going to make it because they rely too much on people rather than their own mentality. And school of thought B is players now are finally getting the mental health help that they deserve, being in such a pressure cooker environment, and in the end, it does make them stronger. What would be your stance on that? What do you think?
I think everybody is different. Everybody's different. Everybody's built different. I will not even make a choice of A or B. My thing would be like, just know yourself. Just know yourself, and you'll see what works the best for you. Because as a president or GM or as a coach, your job is to get the best out of your players. And so your job is to see what works best for their mentality. And if that works for him, to talk to somebody about, hey, I took this shot and this shot. If that works for him, to have a mental coach, if that brings out the best out of him, then you should do it. If the thing is, I'm going to shit on him and be hard because he's going to show that he's going to play better like this, then do that, I think it's a player situation and their mentality. And your job, if you're the coach or the GM or the president, is to try to bring the best out of those players.
Absolutely. I mean, when you talk about your generation and mental fortitude, a few players come to mind, but I think one mainly that seems nothing can get to him, nothing could ever get to him on and off the court. A mentality was even named after him. I'm talking about the late Kobe Bryant. I know you've played him a fair few times. He said in your documentary that if it wasn't for you and the Spurs, he'd probably have more rings. Can you maybe share some anecdotes of playing with him and what he inspired in others and teammates?
Well, Kobe to me is one of the best, if you talk about the mental side of the game, he was definitely one of the best up there, with Michael Jordan.
Absolutely.
And obviously he's the best player that I played against, But Kobe was just amazing. And his mentality is very, very similar than Michael. But it's not for everybody. Like he will challenge people when people don't want to be challenged, or he will pull people when people don't want to be pulled. It's different now. So that's why it's hard to compare eras. And Michael said it best in the documentary, The Last Dance. If you don't want to play that way, don't play that way. But it's not easy to win. Winning is hard.
Absolutely.
especially in a consistent basis. If you want to have longevity and win consistently, it's hard.
I hear he was a big trash talker, but not necessarily in insults, but maybe psychological trash talking. Do you have any anecdotes to that?
At one time, he tried to talk to me in French, like learning the language. I thought that was pretty funny, but yeah, he will always try to find ways to get an advantage on you. That was his mentality.
You've played against a fair few incredible players, LeBron James, Shaquille O'Neal, Stephen Curry, but you've also played with exceptional players. You were part of one of the greatest trios in NBA history with Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili. You guys have played for nearly 2 decades. How was it like playing with them, joining them at first, and then evolving and playing for so long with such incredible players?
Yeah, I think I played in a great era. I'm very proud in the era that I played. Like you said, I played against some great players. At the point guard position, it was maybe the golden era. And then I played with the 2 unbelievable players. I was very blessed, to have great teammates. In my opinion, some of the best players in the NBA in the history of the game. Now we all 3 Hall of Famers, so I don't even have to say much. You just the results talk. Exactly. Yeah. So no, I feel very lucky to play with Timmy and Manu. It was just a blessing to play with them my whole career.
When you spend this much time with people, something very curious and funny happens in the brain where it releases oxytocin, which is also known as the bonding hormone. And funny enough, the same hormone that is released when you're first born into your parents for the first time. It's the hormone that brings people together on a deeper level than just friendship. Did you feel that big brother, little brother connection with them? If so, who was big?
I don't know how you can call that bond, that relationship, because it was so unique and so rare, and you can't even explain it, because we talk about somebody from the Virgin Islands who was supposed to be a swimmer, and then a guy from Argentina, and then a guy from France. This is crazy if you think about it, because we're very different cultures, very different mentalities, different people, and we play plus 15 years together. It's crazy. It's hard to explain, but the magic happened, with a coach that was very tough on us, and 3 different guys from different background, and we have the best trio ever.
Absolutely.
I don't know how can you explain that, to be honest with you.
Did it instantly fit? Were you guys complimentary?
No, it took time. It took time because I was 19. I was very young when I arrived. Timmy was already a superstar. My first 2 years in the NBA, he's MVP of the league. Manu arrived at 25, my second year, and he was a star in Europe. But he arrived, he was already 25, so he already had years in the pros. So it took time, to come together and to gel. Even if our second year we won a championship right away, but the friendship and the bonding and all that kind of stuff, it came over time.
Were they shocked or a little bothered when Pop put you in after only 5 games?
I was from France, so Timmy, in his mind, basically French people, we suck, basically. I had to gain his trust, over time, but it took me the whole year. But after that, he was very, very supportive, and he always, always had my back, for sure.
Wow, that's awesome. And you play for them for most of your career until at least they retire one by one. You're the last man standing, per se.
I was the youngest too.
You were the youngest too, for sure. And at that point, I'm sure that you think you're going to retire there too, that the Spurs is going to be the end of your journey, the same coach, same team, same club. But you received just a tiny phone call that's going to change a lot of things. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, in my mind, I thought I was going to finish a Spur and I was going to stay with the Spurs my whole career. And then Michael called, and it was great that last year in Charlotte. It was something different and just a different vision of the NBA, because I only knew the Spurs. So I had a great year in Charlotte. I loved it. I will change anything, because at the end of the day, I will always be remembered as a Spur. And people, even now, they forget about my year in Charlotte. They think I played my whole career in San Antonio. So
no
it's
regrets.
Funny, it's funny how it works. And it was nice the way it ended, having my jersey retired. And I was the last one on everybody because I was the youngest. Yes. So we did Timmy first, then Manu, Pop, and then the Hall of Fame. We did Timmy, Manu. And then to finish the Hall of Fame last year with Pop, and to have all the Spurs together, and to have Timmy, Manu, David Robinson, everybody, And we all knew that my celebration, was the last time we'll be like all together. So it was pretty special.
What did it mean to you to be induced in the Hall of Fame? Did you come back to that child that you are?
No, because when I was a child, I didn't dream about that. and I was dreaming big. But like I always say, my career was even better than my dream, because I dream about playing in the NBA, but I never dreamed like that's even bigger. Like Hall of Fame is so rare for players to get into the Hall of Fame. Yeah, exactly. So when I got the Hall of Fame call, I was like, wow, like it was just hard to believe. Like it was a huge honor, obviously, but I never thought about that, so it was just extra, to have my jersey retired, and then the Hall of Fame is just something that I didn't even think that a kid like me can have something like that.
We talk about retirement. At that point, you decide to retire from the Charlotte Hornets. I was going to say you lace up the boots and hang them, but not really, the shoes, the jersey. A lot of players, when they go through retirement, their brain has been wired so much for elite competition, intense training, intense regular schedules, that they often feel loss of self, loss of purpose, loss of identity, and they have trouble transitioning towards the next phase. You, on the other hand, have done very well since then.
Yeah, I didn't even feel that. And I know the stats, like 95% or 90% of the players, when they retire, they go through depression and they don't know what they want to do, because your whole life they tell you what to do. And for 40 years, you play basketball every day, and every year we know exactly, like practice, games, all that kind of stuff. Because my parents, prepared me well. I started very young preparing my after basketball life. So when I was 23, I decided to meet Magic Johnson, talk about business, give me great advice. Like he was like, don't wait until you retire to start creating, your network. He's like, call now, because now they want to hang out with you. When you retire, they forget about you. But when you're active and you play, everybody wants to hang out with you and know what's going on, what happened in the game. And that's what I did, when I was playing. I will work on my network and ask for meetings, with CEOs and stuff like that. And I didn't go to school very long, so I wanted to learn. And I was very lucky to have people that took me under their wing, and I was like a sponge, I would like learn everything. And at 26, I decided to invest in a basketball team, and I started the process. I wanted to give back. So I bought the men's team, bought the women's team, built the academy. So when I retired, the transition was very easy for me.
We've done very well. To name a few, your group Infinity 9 is doing incredibly well. You were on cover of Forbes magazine. You are in the French Shark Tank. You are becoming this entrepreneurial figure post-career that is as notable or important as you were during the NBA. What does it mean to you? Did you always like the idea of entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I think it was always in me.
Yeah.
I think I always liked it. I think it's in my blood. I love to build stuff and create stuff, and I think it's a mentality that I always had, and that's why the transition was so easy. I'm enjoying my life as much as when I was playing. When I was playing, it was unbelievable. Very blessed and lucky to have a career like that, and especially that long, because I played for 22 seasons. But my life now, I'm enjoying it as same, It's like I enjoy what we do. We have a great impact, on the community, great impact on the kids that we're helping with the academy. We're winning championships, so it's not the same adrenaline, but close, winning with the men's team, the women's team, or the horse. We just won it's like winning an NBA championship in the horse world. We just won a couple of days ago. So no, it's been an amazing journey, and I hope I can maintain it, for the next, 10, 15 years. I feel like I had a great first life, and now I'm enjoying my second life until like, retirement, and then my third life will be about, traveling the world. Yeah, and the grandchildren, that's for sure. Hopefully.
So you have also, you're talking about the club you invested in. You are part owner of Les Villes, which is a iconic French club.
Mm-hmm.
You've always wanted to give back to French basketball and get French basketball to the level that you believe it deserves, and that it honestly does, with an incredible future ahead. What does it mean to you to reinvest in France and French basketball?
For me, it's huge. It's huge. Like the legacy that you leave as a player is great. But as an owner and majority owner of the men's team, the women's team, I think I can even have maybe the same impact, even maybe more. When I look at it now, and when I see the NBA, in the last drafts, the last 2 first pick, played in Asvel, won a championship in Asvel, came to the academy. It's pretty cool to have back-to-back number 1 pick, and they all went through my academy. So it's pretty special, to have that impact.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, you guys are doing very well on the European side. You're playing in the Euro League, slowly building to maybe a legacy like a Madrid, Panathinaikos. I think there's a lot to go. And as you said, the last 2 number 1 picks have been French. But even, I believe, number 3 pick this year and number 6. So the French generation is getting to a point where basketball, we're becoming respected in the basketball world.
Yeah, that's for sure. And to be the pioneer of all of that and to have inspired the whole generation is pretty special.
You also did that through the French national team. You've played a lot. You've said that you've experienced a lot through the French national team. You've spoken through the Olympic Games. You were able to attend. What does that mean to you to wear the French jersey and play for the French national team?
It meant everything. And the French national team was always special for me. Growing up, I didn't have much. And so every time I went to the national team, that was my first time that I traveled, first time I stayed in a hotel, first time of a lot of stuff. I was always very proud to play for my country and to be able to win the gold medal with them, and the first gold medal ever in the history of French basketball. Still the only gold medal. It's pretty special. And I went every summer. Didn't take no summer off, and it was very important to me to play for my country.
This year, the Olympic Games, France has done
amazing,
one of the greatest runs
amazing.
in Olympic history, playing against teams that are getting better and better. Germany is incredible. We get to the final, and we play against the Dream Team 2.0, one of the greatest teams ever aligned, and we still put up a fight. You got to spend some time with those guys. What did it mean to you, and how do you see this generation going forward?
I was proud, just proud.
Yeah.
The Olympics was amazing. I think we can be very proud to be French. It was a huge success, the Olympics. Starting with the ceremony and everything. Everything was good. I can see the people, they were into it. Everybody was behind our country. And for basketball especially, it was the dream final for both, for men and women. And I felt a lot of proud because all the players, most of them, I play with them or I inspired them, to go in NBA. The coach is still my coach, that when we played.
Exactly.
So it was pretty special those 3 weeks to be one of the ambassadors of France. And I was trying to support all the sports. My friends were joking with me man, we see you everywhere. We see you every day on TV. It was nice, and to have that huge honor to carry the flag the first day and the last day, because I carried it twice. That was pretty special.
To talk about a few players on that Olympics team, a young player no one really talks about at the moment, Victor Wembanyama. You have got to spend a lot of time with him, obviously through here, but then later on as he joined the same team, the same coach. Did you give advice? Do you talk to him regularly?
But first of all, I'm very happy, for him. It's not easy, with all that pressure and all the expectation. He had an unbelievable first year. And we saw it very early, we tried to recruit him, and he came to Asvel. We won a championship together, with Asvel. And I'm very happy for him to have all that success with the Spurs, but even with the national team, to have a silver medal in the Olympics. It's pretty special. And I hope he stays healthy, and I hope he has a long career.
Oh, for sure.
And we should be very happy as France to have a player like that.
I heard that you teamed up with Manu and Tim again for the past year to help him train and transition through the Spurs. Can you tell us a little bit more about
everybody helped. Timmy did his part, Manu did his part, I did my part. But that's the Spurs mentality. Every time we have new players, the Big Three or David Robinson, he was there too for one of those dinners. It's just passing the torch, it's something that we do naturally in San Antonio.
Does San Antonio inspire a family bond?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we started that, with our team, and I'm happy that it's staying.
He seems at least like an unbelievable kid, unbelievably determined, unbelievably talented on the field. That may be a cliche question, but how far do you see him go, is there any limit to him?
I think he can become one of the best players in the history of the game. We never saw somebody like him, at that size, and that's the evolution of basketball. Guys are jumping higher, going faster, and their bodies are unbelievable. Yeah, I think he can go as high as he wants. He
is exceptional, and as you said, he arrives to the NBA with such a high pressure of all the expectations. He's coming to an NBA, as you said, it's a different era, much more physical than technical. You said that you are very happy about the era that you played in. Did you note any differences from, let's say, the beginning of your career towards the end, and how the game evolved and how you had to adapt to it?
Yeah, but that's the evolution. It's like that on everything in life, you know. And so, yeah, for me, when I first arrived, it was a lot of post-ups and a lot of half-court. And when I left the game, it was a lot of threes. Everybody shoots threes now. It's very different. That's why I don't like when people try to compare and stuff like that. Just be happy in the era you played, you know, and every era gonna have their thing, you know. Me personally, because I was a big fan, I love the 90s, you know, because of Michael and stuff like that. I love the era that I play, you know. So I don't compare. I don't go into those debates.
People often talk about GOATs of basketball. Do you think there should be a GOAT per era instead of maybe a GOAT general?
Yeah, a GOAT per era is pretty good. It's a good solution. Then if I have to choose, I will always say Michael Jordan, maybe because he's my idol. But I have a lot of respect for Kobe, LeBron James. What he's doing is unbelievable. LeBron, like if you like the longevity and everything, it's gonna be tough to beat that.
Astonishing.
So I think it's all about preference and maybe era per a GOAT per era. Yeah, that's good too.
LeBron James now playing with his son. Did the first game together a few nights ago. It's incredible to even imagine.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. First time ever.
Yeah,
so, that's pretty cool for them as a family.
For
That's
sure.
gotta be pretty cool.
There's a shocking stat that I saw the other day where LeBron James has played against 37% of all players that have ever been in the NBA.
Oh wow!
Of all the players that
didn't know
have
that
walked on
stat.
the court,
Okay.
which is just goes to show his longevity, his talent.
Yeah, his
but
longevity is amazing.
yeah, but oftentimes when you ask who the GOAT is, there is one main answer, and that is Michael Jordan. Can you explain to us what he meant outside of the court as well? What did he bring? What did he inspire?
But it was the perfect storm between him being the best and the era changing with the internet and everything. Like everything exploded, you know,
sure.
with his shoe and
Absolutely.
the brand, everything. It was just the perfect timing.
I've heard you say you have no regrets, nothing you'd like to change, and I think that's very inspiring. And maybe you can look into this camera and tell the young people, the youth that would maybe want to follow in your footsteps or just follow in their own dream.
All right, the young generation, don't hesitate to dream big. And when you say your dream to somebody and if he's not laughing at you, you don't dream big enough.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much.
No
Well, thank you
problem.
very much for taking
Yeah,
the
no
time.
problem.
It was awesome to have you.
No problem.
Thanks.
All right, my man. Take care.
Un pour mon meilleur ami, et un pour moi, et un pour notre génial caméraman. Merci beaucoup. Alors celui-là c'est pour Oscar. Merci beaucoup. Génial.
Merci les gars.